SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeeps.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity.
What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of lathe.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast presented by SFJ4x4.com. My name is Neil with Simpson Family Jeeps, joined in Grandma's Couch Studio.
Are you sure?
Jeff Shermani, the producer, making
The
sure we
Italian
were on
stallion.
time and audible. And
Yes.
it sounds like everything is working on our end, so hopefully on their end it is.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
Well, I was just saying, we were pretty fired up from last time. This is our first time back with our live audience since prior to the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep invasion. Those of you who enjoyed that podcast, you would have enjoyed it specifically in your ear holes on your favorite streaming platform, because our attempted live,
We were told no.
fell real flat on its face.
Yeah,
But before we get to that, you, sir?
Maddest mad scientist, exhaust extraordinaire this morning.
Oh.
exhaust, huh?
Trying to.
And that's
Exhausting.
Scott Brown.
Yes.
So
Old Doc.
part of our process this morning was that we went with our starting soon screen several minutes early so that we could make sure things were copacetic for when we actually went live. And because of that, we threw off the infamous Nate, and Joe got first with good morning.
Wing, 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 wing.
Then
That was my winner noise.
Sure. Then Daddy Jeep says you're early, but good morning. And then he said hi to Joe O'Brien. Billy Joe says good morning. We got Nate saying good morning. Giaga Jeeper saying good morning. Jeannie saying hi everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. Photo I Park saying hi from San Antonio, and I probably butchered the pronunciation of that. I'm sorry.
That is me doing accents for folks around the world.
Yeah. Nate is saying, we can hear you again. Daddy Jeep says, we hear you. Jeannie said, glad to have voice this time. Joe says, everything is working.
Everybody's so surprised that we did our job.
Joe is saying, ding, ding. And then Photo I is saying, your volume keeps cutting off, coming back on, then cutting off again.
Ruh-roh.
That could be an issue
Could
with
be a
them.
YouTube. Could
Yeah.
be a YouTube. Well, I guess, objectively, our goal is to be able to put this program on for our listeners, our followers everywhere, and that's why we do attempt to go live both on the Book of Faces and the YouTubes. But obviously, the primary medium for this is on your favorite streaming platform. So whether that be iTunes or Spotify, Audible, you are a valuable part of ensuring that this program makes sense. And so if you are listening to us at a later date, understand that you can come on and jump into the comments, say good morning, and, be part of the Big Jeep family and this program. And so, you can join us nearly every Monday at 10:19 a.m. live.
And Darwin is actually saying your sound is just fine, and he's on YouTube as well. So
Okay.
Photo, maybe try closing and reopening. I don't
Yep.
know.
Unplug it and plug it back in again.
And when they are on our favorite streaming platform listening to us, what are they supposed to do?
Jeffrey?
Leave a review, because I've got a stack of reviews. We have read all of these ones off, but we have to announce who the winner is of that.
So they can get the most valuable, most useful, purposeful purple strap.
So we had encouraged you folks to go on, leave us a review. They had, screenshot it, tell us that, that whatever the review was, kind of didn't care what it said. You could, I care that you're actually helping grow the program a little forward, but we didn't need it to be too uptight and kissy faced. But we did, within a degree of people who had followed the directions of leaving the review and doing the screenshotting and so on and so forth, and a little bit of randomization, we have picked the winner, who is going to get a swag pack, and which will include, some clothes of sorts, some stickers, and then ultimately Scott's absolute favorite size doesn't matter recovery strap.
Not about how big it is; it's how you use it.
And the winner is
I
Jeffrey.
use that this weekend, but we'll talk about that later. So if this is your review, please email us with your contact info so we can ship the package out to you, or you can pick it up here at the shop and get a tour of the shop. My favorite Jeep podcast. This is three real guys sitting on grandma's old couch in their shop talking about my favorite topic, Jeeps. What you see is what you get. There is no fabrication here. Flat out the best shop around. It is exactly how you would imagine it. Lucky for me, they are only an hour away. I appreciate the best and honest Jeep expertise you will find on any social media platform. Keep the content coming.
And so whoever wrote that and submitted that.
I will follow up with an email too, just asking for that. But if you're listening, you can reach out to us quickly as well.
That is winner chicken dinner on that one. We thank you for that. We do have another swag pack to give away because we've got another strap.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to keep this ball rolling. So if you did not get a chance to leave a review, we're going to keep it going, and who knows, the next pool might be bigger, it might be smaller, I don't know, but we encourage you to leave a review that helps kind of facilitate and push this podcast further for more people to enjoy it. So if you enjoy it, please consider letting other people know by leaving that review, specifically on iTunes if possible, and then sharing the podcast so other people can get involved. In general, let's talk about hot topics coming up as we have been doing for the past year or so. If you're interested in what's happening in our personal lives, stay tuned through the outro credits. We will share with you then. Today, we are going to be talking about oil specifically. Something I'm definitely kind of, I like to nerd out on, and we'll be giving a pretty interesting overview over, lubrication, if you will.
You are passionate about lube.
I am passionate about lube. And
Guys, just remember, this is not our after hours episode that we keep planning.
we keep planning it. This should have been our after hours.
Holy cow.
Because I don't know
Nate?
that I'm going to make it through.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's just oil.
Talking about lube.
Nope, we're going to go to comments. Nate says only 20 days until Trail Hero and 30 days until the premiere of Trail Hero X.
Yes. And I believe Nate will be on that video series. So
On the Hero X, right?
yes. So tune in and you'll get to see himself, his family, and the other participants.
I'm not going to lie.
in
I'm
that.
pretty excited to see that, especially knowing Nate and that he's been in the shop. We've had him
Mm-hmm. And his
in a
cool
couple
gladiator
times.
that he's
He
got.
brought us donuts.
Yes.
Saying he's our almost always number one commenter.
Yep. So
Oh.
super cool stuff there. And we look forward to that. I mean, off-road content is cool no matter where it's coming from. And so looking forward to that. Trail Hero is a great event and organization, it appears. So.
Yeah, and he was very hush-hush. He followed his contract. He's not allowed to talk about it. So he left us hanging. I was hoping he'd give us some insider. He wouldn't.
Nope. So best of luck as that series premieres. Since it is live from our first live from Smoky Mountain, I do want to address a gift from the owners of Cookie Monster and the Minion. We got this really sweet Ducky 4-wheel drive signage.
That's cool.
And a really nice heavy-duty magnet. Feel that magnet. It says,
It looks like a heavy
wow.
magnet.
right? I mean, you could clock somebody with that. And it says Jeep anything but ordinary. I appreciate the gifts, and I like to recognize people when and how they share with us. So,
I feel like the 4-wheel drive sign is going to have to get hung somewhere.
oh,
in the studio.
absolutely. So, thank you, Jeannie and Jeff, for those gifts and thinking of us during that event. With that said, we had some interesting information which I would like to share out to the world now, and kind of our first and foremost confirmation We've signed on the dotted line, and a congratulations to the mad scientist, because we have hashtag not a restoration, which will be a feature build within the Crown Automotive booth at SEMA 2025. They have a beautiful peninsula booth space, and they will be showcasing that build within the convention center as kind of a prime example for what a Jeep should
He
be.
gets some applause.
Was that rain?
That was that was absolutely rain
It
on
did
a
sound
tin
kinda
roof.
like rain. I agree.
I love the soundboard.
But do you? Are you sure?
I think Jeff is listening to things in his ears right now, and he's trying to do producer stuff.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I was just reading the different sound
Oh,
effects.
he's reading the sound effects.
Oh dear.
It was super intense. So look forward to more conversation about that as we get closer to getting that Jeep out to sunny Las Vegas in about 2 months.
Yep, that Jeep has traveled quite a bit thanks to the show circuit that it's been on. So it's pretty exciting. Obviously, it was at Great Smoky Mountain
Mm-hmm.
and right on the corner as well. So it's pretty awesome. The owner is on cloud 9,
Yes.
as he should be.
Yep.
So-
It's a build worthy of all the accolades it's receiving. And if you're unfamiliar with it, there's a whole bunch of videos out there about it. There was a really cool viral rolling video we did right before we went to
That was fun.
Smoky. The funniest thing is, just so everybody's on the same page, I mean, we were so professional because we have a rolling rig. The Savage has bought, a special arm that attaches to Jeff's Jeep, and Jeff's out there as our numero uno wheel man, and we're doing cattywampus closed course
Yeah.
maneuvers.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And the guys went so far as they hooked me up with a set of headphones on a walkie-talkie because so the ability for Savage to weigh in and say, hey, I need you to move in this direction, and in 3, 2, 1, I want you to switch lanes, and yada yada. There's a lot that goes into producing
Except
that.
for he didn't warn you about the tree down.
No. I mean, we did almost collide.
That one made me nervous.
Yeah, we almost collided in one of the shootings on a kind of a backcountry road
On a close course.
on a closed course.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a tree randomly was down on the closed course.
I
Yes.
hate it when that happens.
And the funniest thing is, and that video went viral, and of course, when that happens, you're going to get all the humans out of the social pages, which is whatever. But they were like, "Why do you have headphones on? You're a sissy," And I was like,
Oh yeah, because they thought your ears were cold or something.
something, or like
it was-
I didn't want to hear the pipes. I don't know.
And then also, does that really go down the freeway?
Oh, that must be AI because Jeeps can't go that fast down the freeway.
Yep, they can.
Yeah, when they're built right. I just thought it was so funny. Nope, it's 100% real. I was wearing headphones so I could hear the directions from the videography side of things. The Jeep actually goes 70, 80 miles per hour pretty confidently.
Yeah, the biggest challenge is it's a brick, and wind is not your friend.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're good to go.
Or down trees on closed
Yeah,
courses
yeah.
while Jeffrey makes maneuvers.
We
at
just
the
got
last
to
minute.
climb over them. It's a Jeep.
Mhm.
Just fortunately, both of us are pretty good behind the wheel, and
Yeah.
we were able to avoid that
Yes, professional drivers.
On
yeah.
a close course.
on the closed course.
Anywho, so oilage, lubrication,
Mm-hmm. That's what helps the Jeep go 70 miles an hour down the freeway.
black gold,
Mm-hmm.
The right kind of oil
Texas
helps
tea.
the Jeep go that fast.
Texas tea.
Yep.
What happens if it's the wrong one?
You know what's cool thing? I mean,
Bad
overly contextualizing. I don't think that Titusville, Pennsylvania, gets enough recognition. Honestly,
I mean, we all had the chance. I don't know about Jeff, but we all got a chance to go out and look at the well and kind of experience that as kids.
Breaks well. Yeah.
Jeff's fired up. If for our listening audience, and it's always such a.
Nitro. Oh, so fun how they got that oil.
It was always, really interesting, from our listening audience, in the 6 out of 7 continents. Dang you, penguins. And the multitude of countries we're in, we are geographically located at only within about an hour of the Franklin City, Oil City, Titusville conglomerate, which is where the discovery of oil at Drake's Well originated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so cool.
It's kind of unique because we not only have the oil, we have the steel, we have the manufacturing. We just almost take it for granted of sorts. Grew up with, what's what I want to call it, on the side of the railroad, the steel, iron ore pellets, all that kind of stuff is right in our backyard.
Yes.
So we grew up around that stuff.
I think it's easy. It would be easy to take it for granted. Equally, if you were elsewhere in the country, kind of your peripheries on the coasts, if you will, oil and ground minerals might be a little more foreign to you.
Mhm.
It might almost be a little mysterious. Whereas for all of us, we recognize the many positive implications that crude oil discovery had on a region. Now, as many people know, from Detroit to Pittsburgh, up to Buffalo, if you will, that this area is maybe a bygone of the manufacturing industry, right? But once a really prominent world player as far as where iron ore and oil was being made, refined, and distributed from.
Yep.
And so we are speaking out into our global listening audience as individuals who are located in this breadbasket of originality, not just for Jeeps alone, which I think is very special, from, again, Toledo to Butler, but from that original degree of discovery that propelled industrialization into what we know it to be.
And the best part of that is because of that, we have kind of hometown brands that honestly, I don't know are they nationwide or not, but we have little companies that, it's not Pennzoil, it's not Quaker State, it's not that kind of stuff. It's literally Wolf's Head or Schaefer's or that kind of stuff that, let us know. Do you know of those brands? Because those originated over in Pennsylvania.
Right. Well, Pennzoil obviously did as well,
right,
and
but
Quaker State.
But they got bigger and bigger, and maybe
Sure.
they don't realize the origin story of
Right.
those.
Schaefer's not so much, but Wolf's Head, 100%. You know what I mean? And then there were other, little oil companies, as you're mentioning. So we live in this neat hotbed, personally, which I think, again, some people maybe don't really recognize the impact from our little area. Now, we have globally found deposits of oil elsewhere, in much more substantial, means.
Yeah.
But when it was discovered in our area, it changed the world, quite literally.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so we all understand, this product, crude oil, which is a composition is a liquefied remnants of the dinosaurs.
Nope.
Which actually I love because of a Sinclair oil. Do you remember Sinclair
I do.
with their
have a
little
sign.
dino on there?
I have a sign, and that was actually a misnomer that people said it was dino oil, but it actually isn't.
Correct.
Yep.
But I still can't get over the dino blood. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
one of those things, like it's ingrained in me.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
And that's how I feel, right? Because we didn't know, though. We didn't understand exactly where oil came from, per se.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, up to that point in time, if we just we call a spade, they were using like lard composites for fuels,
Mm-hmm.
So whales, seals, other animals. We as a society, we were repurposing. We hadn't really found these energy sources yet.
Yeah.
So go ahead, expand upon what you might want to.
Well, just that obviously people were always digging in the ground and that sort of thing, and over at Drake's Well, we finally found kind of oil on purpose or for a use.
Mm-hmm.
And when it first was discovered, we really didn't know the capabilities and all the different things we were going to use it for. Then kerosene lamps.
I was
were
going
a
to say,
big
really,
thing.
we were just fuel oil and kerosene was
Yep.
really the only thing. In fact, there were so many byproducts of oil that were wasted
Yes.
at that time.
And that's something I don't know if many do know or not. Gasoline literally was a waste product.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, people, they burned it off, they dumped it, they threw it away. So when cars started using it, it was literally like running off banana peels. Oh, cool, this is running off garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Why is the Savage coming back here?
He's popping the door a little to see if we can improve our internet signal because the internet is glitching for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just looking as he's coming back to do that. We are actually direct connected to Ethernet, so there is
Something.
something to do with the internet. It has nothing to do with anything on our
Mhm.
end.
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
Anyways,
A big oil.
mindless to
big
say,
oil.
While you guys are talking big oil, I'm over here communicating with Davey, with my wife.
We're going to
and
let you keep
reading
going. then.
comments. So
We're going to keep going.
we
then.
are continuing. I don't even know where we're at in conversation.
That's fine.
anymore.
You keep doing
I heard
producer
Drake's
things.
again, and I got excited
Meh.
because
We're past that
I-
ish.
So, anywho's, we were, originally looking for kerosene. Obviously, we needed some heavy oils for like grease and lubrication, steam locomotives, that kind of stuff needed constant lubrication.
Correct.
So as things progressed, more and more scientists looked into like how can we use more of this product,
Right.
and kind of put 100 years of this discovery in one little chunk. We got plastics, we got gasoline, we got grease, we got all the kind of weights of oil,
Mm-hmm. Diesel fuel.
diesel fuel.
Because I can't hammer home enough, folks. And for me and the way that my brain works, I need our listening audience to understand that. And I'm going to contextualize myself. I'm perfectly happy to get behind the driver's seat of a big block or a small block and let the Eagles fly as much as I am to get really jazzed up on automotive technology, right?
See, I prefer a medium block.
Uh-huh. So, I'm willing to get behind the whole V8s need to be an appropriate aspect of our automotive experience. But what the world went through when that oil process initially happened is what we are living through for electrification.
Mhm.
It just is what it is. And we can make all the arguments in the world until we're blue in the face and you can tell me how it's a bad choice and this, that, and the third. But as a student of history, quite literally,
When they were coming for the horses.
when they were coming for the horses
Yes.
and oil refinement was not in the, was not available in the hills of Kentucky.
And think about all the jobs that were put out for horse
Yes,
maintenance.
correct. Horse maintenance, stable maintenance, carriage maintenance, so on and
Yep.
so forth. That is what the moment we're living through. It's about context and
And
perspective.
the other part I think is so interesting is talking about how gasoline cleaned up big cities
Mm-hmm.
from manure. You don't
Yes.
think about that you have hundreds of thousands
And
of,
dead animals.
of horses
Yes.
in a day.
Yes. Horse
I
graveyards.
don't remember the stats, but that one episode we talked about that and how much manure it was.
Yes.
It was insane.
Yes. Just and so without getting off on a tirade, understand that the similarities are drastic as oil becomes more prevalent, the refining process becomes prevalent. There was, of course, a number of people who were just the race to try and use it for whatever they could,
Yep.
medicinally or
Oh,
otherwise.
it's absolutely crazy.
There's a lot of crazy stuff, right?
Literally where snake oil came from.
To a degree, right? To a degree. So as we move forward and springboard ourselves into kind of modern technologies, specifically, let's jump over, unfortunately, 100 years basically,
Yep.
and bring us up to speed of the 80s and 90s. We have conventional oils
Yep.
of a mixed degree of weights.
Mm-hmm.
Weights specifically address viscosity.
Mm-hmm.
Viscosity is basically how, I guess an oversimplification is how something flows or thinness or thickness of it.
So why is there two numbers and a W?
Well, hold on. So first we have to talk about straight weight oil.
Yes, well,
And-
that's the single weight.
And
Yep.
at this point, those are usually air compressors, lawnmowers,
Yes, industrial application.
old automobiles. Some point. So if you got a Willis, then you could probably use a straight 30 or 40 weight oil.
I need to know what button on the soundboard I'm allowed to push, Jeff, when I want to interrupt. Pivot. I want our listening audience to recognize. I've recognized something because I'm a purveyor of human beings, and so I pick up on micro expressions and little interactions and habitual things. And when people purposely make changes in their life, I notice these things. Other people might not notice, and it's one of those things that you might just kind of like.
Part of it's tism.
Yeah, it's part of my tism. Okay. Scott, for our listening audience, I want you to know this, is attempting to walk through life in a manner in which he respects multiple belief systems. When it comes to vintage vehicles of a particular era, he is purposely choosing to use the pronunciation Willis.
Yes.
I watched a video.
And there are
but I
times that
remember
he'll still refer to things as Willies.
I'm going to go back to Jeep Jeopardy, where I got scolded by both of you
I don't-
for
I don't know
saying
what you're talking
Willis.
about. I
And
don't
now he's
recall.
using Willis.
That's okay, but he actually is able. He is straddling both sides of the belief system of kind of digging our heels in. I'm still gonna call like a modern A package a Willys package.
Absolutely.
And I want to specifically because I'm not jumping on the Willis bus. I'm just not right now.
So you're gonna make us derail because I have to do for 2 seconds. So Willis was the guy's name.
Yep.
That's the created Willis Overland.
Yes.
And when Kaiser
Yep.
got a hold of Willis Corporation, so many people were calling it Willys because nobody actually knew how to pronounce it. They just were doing their best
Sure thing.
off of what it said on the vehicle.
Yep.
They ran with it.
They did.
So both are correct.
Yep.
If you want to pay homage to the man,
And the original corporation,
which
or
we're
car
we're
dealership.
back in 100
Yep.
years ago, so why not say Willis?
I know exactly what you're doing. And I think that in life, there are too many little like innuendos or too many little things. And my tism can't not address it so that other people are aware of the intentionality that Scott is taking in his talking points. Boom. They're done. There's my pivot. I'm going to get back on the rails. Anywho, so straight weights, if you have those older vehicles, they might call for a straight weight. And ultimately,
Now, can you put a dual weight oil in those, or will it make it blow up?
no, you can put a dual weight in them.
Yeah, the vehicle
So-
is going to panic.
Here's the thing. And so, and this is where I start to really kind of nerd out.
I'm going to jump in real quick because the comment is perfect. I got Joe O'Brien going, "What you talking about, Willis?"
That tracks. That tracks. So, this is where I really start. This is the dumbest and like my self-imposed nerd fact you will find out about me and about how these oils differentiate. I get real jazzed up on viscous modifiers.
He does.
What's so funny is that Saturday we were talking about, because Scott asked what we were going to be doing on the topic, and I said, "Oh, we're talking oil," and Greg goes, "Oh, that's Neil's favorite nerdy topic."
Outside of U-joints,
I was going to say next to you joints.
like how dumb. Like people get really excited about things that like I don't know actually are fun. Like I
And
don't know
I secretly
wheels or
think
lights.
joints is just because of the special grease that the U-joints use.
that's
So it's
kind
called lubrication.
And the seals that hold the grease in,
Yeah.
or or purge the grease out. Yeah, that's kind of true. So viscous modifiers are the devil, and what most people don't take into consideration.
So what he's trying to say is when you have a oil that says 5W20 or 5W30,
Mm-hmm.
it starts out one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and heat and pressure
Yes.
creates something magic,
Yes,
and the
magic
oil-
happens.
and the oil transitions to the other number.
Okay. And there's a magician in the same bottle who has to carry that weight from the initial startup weight, which is thinner, right? So when it comes to a dual weight oil, and that's all I'm going to concentrate on is when we have a lower number and then a higher number, and versus straight weight. The engine needs to start with the thinner viscous weight. And that is so that you can appropriately lubricate the internal components. So on arguably what's called a cold start, and I don't care if it is the middle of summer or the dead of winter, it's still a cold start. And that means that the engine has not pressurized, that the internal lubrication and oiling system has not initiated its process. The oil is simply able to flow better from bottom to top. Think about drinking, a drink of water through a straw versus drinking a milkshake. The water, with the same level of effort subjected to the straw, is simply going to come up into your mouth faster than the milkshake. The milkshake will require more effort from you to kind of initially get that flow started. Now, the thing is, a viscous modifier's job is to transition that water into milkshake as heat and friction is increased.
Yep.
So we have to think about the initial number on a dual weight oil as the water and the secondary number as the milkshake, and the modifier has to move it. Now, that modifier or a magician who does that stuff.
While I appreciate your
Analogy.
analogy, it's actually driving me nuts because milkshake in oil is also usually a bad thing.
Fair in general, and maybe we'll get to that or not. But the challenge with this is the fact that you have to decrease the lubricity content of the quantity. So if you think about going to the restaurant to buy your large milkshake, and it's going to initially come out as water, you then have to have a product in there that allows the transition to happen. So you have some of that product which exists as water and a kind of a particulate content. You have some of that content that exists as milkshake. And then you have some of that content which is the magician who magically moves the water into milkshake.
And then after that is the additives and the things that make it Pennzoil.
And yet
like
there
you're
is a
saying.
fourth party represented in that same large milkshake that is the detergents, the additives, the Molly Bond.
Just
so
to
on and so
keep
forth.
running with your analogy, that's the strawberries, the blueberries,
the flavoring,
Oreo,
100%, right? And so
the malt.
So in theory, straight weight is just the milkshake.
Yes.
Okay. And when we have
All milkshake all the time.
all milkshake all the time, and you can have a degree of malt in that milkshake, and we have not lessened the lubricity of that 30 weight with detergent, right? Because some of it will be without detergent, and that's really important depending on what application you may have. Automotive engines all have a degree of detergent in them. Some have more, some have less. That's their secret sauce.
So, other than an additive, what does detergent do?
Well, it's primarily going to break down carbon deposits, and it might
Kind of does what you expect detergent to do. It cleans.
Yes.
fair way to save me on that.
So, if
one,
you've
you
ever
know?
taken an old vehicle apart and you pull the valve cover off, and there's a perfect imprint of the valve cover in sludge,
Yes,
they were running non-detergent oil.
yes,
If you take a new vehicle apart that's only seen detergent oil, and you just have a nice golden brown of everything and no sludge, there's your why it's
Your
in the
primary differentiation. I love it. And I
which
mean,
is also why if you have an old vehicle and you go and you put detergent oil in it and it's got the perfect imprint of the valve cover, you're going to plug things up.
mhm.
It's going to liquefy all the sludge all at once.
Yeah, because the sludge actually starts to break down. The detergent, it acts like a solvent. It's going to start to break down the carbon deposits or other basically sludge deposits that exist in the engine.
But it doesn't instantly dissolve at all. It just makes it move and
Yeah.
plug things
And
up.
it could plug another oil galley or journal in the process and actually create problems. I don't want to get to that just yet. I want to hammer home this dual situation and my continued kind of, soapbox about it as we move into so many of these other things. I love oil talks. Man, I'm thinking to myself, God, we can move into synthetics. We can move into
So fired up.
multi-blends. All right. This last
It's a
piece of
multi-episode.
I don't know. I'm gonna try and close it. Everybody wants one and done episodes. I'm gonna try and keep it to one.
No, you're not.
So
We haven't even got
there's
the grease yet.
there's so much good science around this. If you want to read like really ridiculously like mind-numbingly boring charts and
Jeff would be asleep.
summary or synopsises on how these oils, multi-rate oils are made and whatnot. I'm going to try and kind of stay on topic and just give you kind of bird's eye views, understanding that people like myself do really get giddy over this stuff. But arguably, in the last 40, 50 years, we've seen a number of different oil manufacturers change recipes or change their marketing, change for engines. And the big thing is basically the engine manufacturers are doing one thing and the oil companies are doing another. And they're always kind of trying to work cohesively yet independently of each other.
I think it's important as well in this talk of dual weight oil. We've seen a progression. We got our TJs and older. They're a 1030, 1040 kind of Jeep. And then we got our JKs. Those are a 530 and a 520 kind of Jeep. And then we came out with the JL, and everybody got all upset because it's 020
Yes, sir.
and it's water. It starts as water
Yes.
and transitions to 20, which is literally what the JK, when hot, was running on.
Right.
And we're only 10 points less than what the TJ ran on hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people miss that part. But why we start out with a lower number first is because they keep making the tolerances on the motor tighter and tighter. When cold, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
As it heats up, things expand, change, and therefore why the lubricity changes.
Yes. And that is exactly what I was wanting you to fill in, is the fact that engine technology, as it becomes more efficient with more precision tolerances based on its construction, then the oil has to get thinner to do its job.
Yeah.
Whereas our old engines in the Willis era, basically, Grandpa could put that engine together with a 1/2-inch wrench and a sledgehammer in his backyard.
Yep.
And many individuals did. That's why America fell in love with vehicles, was because so many people could work on these things with, because quite frankly, it was just big UGG and you could put an engine together.
Well, and just quick, small detour. Bearing and seal technology has also changed huge
Yes.
amounts. Back in the early motors, we literally had just Babbitt poured into a block. They machined it in the block, and you assembled the motor.
Yes.
Which meant you had no ability to change for wear. There were shims, literally, where you would shim things to try to make it a little better. Where today we have bearing technology that just vastly is more superior than what those were.
Yes.
And seal technology also, which is why when you take an old motor, and even fully rebuilt, and you put say you were to put a 020 oil in it and it was all cork gaskets and rope seals,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to leak like a broken fish tank.
Yep, 100%. And with that said, as we kind of make this compare and contrast of prior days, we have heavier oils that do exist. And I think it's important to, just kind of address that there is still for race applications 2050.
Yep.
And the reason and I'll kind of expand upon why that might exist. For diesel applications, we still have 1540. And back in the day, and I'm going to throw into this category for a blip on the radar, 540 and 1040. And that's an oil that's bygone. You really don't see that specific oil still in utilization. Again, what oil manufacturers were doing with that specifically, we're trying to create a low resistance startup weight. So you had an engine that was used largely in maybe cold environments, or whatever, and it then needed to be subject to a heavy duty cycle. And so that's why you wanted to make it for generality sticky, right? You wanted to make it thick because it was in a heavy duty environment. The reason that we don't use some of those oils again, and I guess maybe I'll go to the race weight and the diesel weight. We do still use those. They have changed. We use them not in our daily drivers as much as we once did. We use them more in specialized applications.
And it's important to note because it kind of goes hand in hand. Most of those oils, when you still get them, are going to have a higher zinc content, which is a lubricant. That is what our flat tappet camshafts on our older vehicles need to not have flat cams. But they also hurt emissions equipment like catalytic converters. So the newer oils, as those, sadly, it's 1970s and up, had catalytic converters.
Yes.
As they were removing that zinc more and more and more and more, we started seeing cam failures.
Yes.
Because it did not have that lubrication. So now when you go to a street rod oil or a hot rod oil or a racing oil, I'm just making weight, it will have higher zinc content, and you can buy an additive sometimes or most of the time that also adds that zinc back into it. Now you can go.
That is not the cam failures that the 3.6 specifically. I don't care what genre or generation of 3.6 experiences. That is not that cam failure.
Because they have a roller.
Correct.
And it's a different technology.
Yes. Sidebar for those of you who want to make that association.
For those 350 guys, we've had roller cams in them since the 90s.
Joe O'Brien said...
Jeff is yawning. Jeff, I'm so glad that our topic is so interesting. Scott and I are over here like we're teenagers again, meeting for the first time, having a conversation. Jeff wants to die.
Some newer diesels are using 5W30 per Joe.
They are.
Correct,
So
because of the tolerances,
correct.
right? And so that's we keep shifting in that direction. Now, here's the challenge is why we're moving that way for tolerance purposes. But B, the reason you don't see the 540s or the 1040s like you once did is because what they discovered was that in our milkshake that you had too many viscous modifier as far as a content or a volume of it, that the oil was depreciating too fast.
Breakdown.
Yes, it broke down entirely too fast. And since viscous modifier is not a lubricant, it would burn off and dissipate faster than the oil itself. So if you are an individual who is experiencing base oil consumption and yet it's not going anywhere in your engine, and there's a couple of YouTube videos, or if you've worked with me individually, you'll know that your Jeep might call for 020 and I have changed you to 520. That is because I'm intentionally switching with less viscous modifier so that there is more lubricating there's more lubricating content in the oil itself.
To translate Neil Nees, that is closer or less of a change from the start to the finish.
Yes.
Because 0 to 20 is quite a change.
Correct.
5, well, now we're 5 closer to 20.
And that's just ultimately all it comes down to is we're trying to give you more lubricant in there. Equally, the detergents and the malts and all that kind of stuff, we're always looking at if I have a theoretical milkshake container, and that's 100 parts to make my milkshake. You can't have 100 parts milkshake or 100 parts just standard ice cream. You're going to have some flavoring in there. You're going to have the cookie crisps. You're going to have those things, and that's going to take up some of the volume of the overall product.
Yep. Which is really more reason why some vehicles have had more consumption issues with 020, more than just, oh, the rings are bad, oh, the motor design is bad. No, it's literally using up that modifier.
Especially
faster.
as we've gotten to synthetics and longevity between oil changes.
Yep.
Definitely kind of a challenging piece for us to address as an automotive culture and how we approach this.
And I would also say synthetic is why you can go longer between oil changes, more so than the weight of the oil.
Right. The conventional oil simply broke down or burnt off or whatever.
Synthetic can be made to be thinner, and it can be manufactured so that it's a smoother molecule, so it actually
Which is why
holds up longer.
all 020 oil is synthetic. Just pretty much line in the sand.
Yeah. Then the last piece I want to hammer home on the engines themselves and be like, well, Neil, why don't we just add, so if you're telling me this is bad and blah, 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 and you don't have this much, content, why don't I just add something in on top of it? Well, having too much oil in the engine is bad.
Yep.
Just like you should not fill your differential up to the very tippy top. That's why the fill hole isn't on the top of the differential.
Yep.
That's why it's at a predetermined position
I'm going to throw it out
on the diff cover.
Marvel's Mystery Oil.
Yep.
What is he throwing out? What
If
I
you're
mean,
going to add something,
he's going where my brain was already going, because
when you
just like early days of medical for us, when things were a little bit vague, you had lots of things that would come up and, this oil or that, castor oil.
you were
this
saying
one.
about adding stuff to the oil, and that's what made me think of it, because
yeah.
you got Marvell's, you had Lucas, you
You have
had
STP,
Marvell's.
Marvel.
it's Marvell was
Anywho's.
how they actually pronounced it, but Marvel.
It's a
Oh my gosh.
the
It's
Jeff
a
is
Will-
The friggin' Willis conversation
it's a
again.
Willis conversation.
Anyway, and where you get into this is you'll have, my grandpa used Marvel's oil, and so I'm going to use Marvel's.
100%.
Right.
Marvels, Lucas.
But I have no idea what's actually in it.
Seafoam.
Yep.
And spoiler alert, most of those things are literally just kerosene.
A high content of it. That's an oversimplification, but I get what you're saying.
Very much so.
And I'm not telling you not to use those things. I got to be honest with you. They do work in certain applications. The last
They
piece,
get the sludge out.
the last piece that I want to hammer home on that overfilling, which is why we wouldn't want to do it. Gale Banks does a great instructional piece specifically around differentials and overfilling them, and the increased pressure, heat, friction that exists.
Your mad scientist moment. The only time it's allowed to overfill is when you have an AMC V8 and it's a 5-quart capacity. Yeah, gonna run out of oil because we had a problem with our oil systems, and you should put 6 in it.
and stay and within that. But I have absolutely addressed kind of the average population being like, well, if 5 is good, then why isn't 7 better?
Yeah.
There is a point in time where we overflow the fish tank and they fall out, right?
Well, and then there's also the option to upgrade your filter, and we do have the XL filters in some applications.
Which you then can add to that, and that is
Yeah,
another
and
thing.
external
should.
oil
Yep.
coolers and increased capacity.
When you
That's-
increase capacity, you have to increase the oil, or else you're actually
And people don't always think of that together.
Yes, and I love it. I love external oil coolers and oversized filters. Anytime you can create volume, you create better duty cycle, regardless. So all is good. Big thing is friction modifiers aren't necessarily bad. That's just me kind of in a jokingly way trying to hammer home what they do and why they do it. But let's go back to the Marvels and all the other fun little additives. I know that one of the things I heard you say was that it was increase the cleaning of them. Quite frankly, I know a number of people, the old farmer's trick of throwing some automatic transmission fluid in
Yep.
to their engine oil.
I've told many people that, and they look at me like I'm crazy. It has lubricant
Yep.
in it, which kerosene kind of doesn't.
Right?
It has a high detergent, so it cleans. I've said this forever, but go work on your Mack truck that has got 400,000 miles on it and get as greasy as possible. Take some automatic transmission fluid, put it on your hands because you're already contaminated. What the heck? And go like this, and your hands will be red but clean.
Yes.
That is what transmission fluid does. And because of that high refinement, the base oil in automatic transmission fluid is pretty much good no matter if you go to Coastal, you go to Walmart, you go to Dollar General, doesn't matter. It's the additives that make it special.
Yeah.
And old transmissions kind of don't care, aside from some Fords are a little picky on clutch type
Mhm.
and manufacturer. So you need a certain additive to help that not shudder or bite. That's really what the like FA and type F oils were. But you can literally put type F in your Chrysler product
Mhm.
or in your GM product. And a lot of our racing oils literally just have type F clutch material additives in them to help them lock up better.
Mm-hmm.
But your newer vehicles, again, smaller passages, more electronics. They want to see specific things at specific times. They want to see a temperature at a certain time. That's when you really need to use the specific fluid that they say to use.
And as we progress into general, Petro-esque based componentry, because I had this conversation with a customer over the weekend with a manual transmission.
Mm-hmm.
And a specific manual transmission has a specific fluid with a product, as a byproduct in it called, it's a synchro mesh.
Mm-hmm.
And it is this specific product is better at lubricating the synchros in the Mercedes-based six-speed. So enter 2004-ish TJ through the JK model.
And again, back in the olden days when we just had, straight cut gears and you just banged them till you found them kind of scenarios, you had brass synchros.
Mm-hmm.
Those don't care what oil's in there as long as it's lubricating it. So you can use a heavy 80, 90 weight oil and it's perfectly content. Now you go into a newer transmission, and the best example for that is a T5. They were used for so long, they actually were used both ways. You had ones with brass synchros that used gear oil, and you used ones that had fiber synchros, which are basically an automatic transmission clutch, and that needs automatic transmission fluid.
Mm-hmm.
That is why the 6-speeds and some of the newer transmissions need this special oil. It's more for the synchros
Mm-hmm.
than for anything else.
And a fun fact as an extension of that, the AX15, which we saw in prevalent utilization through the late 80s into the earliest 2000s, actually runs engine oil. And if you were to cross the, the approved Chrysler Mopar numbers, it basically comes out as a 530. And so my recommendation is always to get as close to a conventional 530, or at least it used to be. I don't know how valid that is anymore.
Again, an X15 is a derivative of a Toyota transmission. If you go and look up Toyota spec, it's not motor oil. That doesn't mean it has the same components inside.
Correct.
They were specifically made for the model it was gone into.
And so the big issue was we had individuals, folks who were from that old straight cut day, and they just knew to put gear oil in them.
Yep.
And they would shove gear oil in the transmission, and it seemingly worked okay for them. And then we had individuals who were like, well, if ATF is good in this transmission,
Yep.
then it should be good in the AX15. And I absolutely will tell you that I did a fluid change on my AX15, and I put ATF in it, and that thing shifted like
Bada?
no, terrible. Terrible. It was terrible. It actually got stuck in gear.
Yep.
It did not have the sufficient lubricity that your standard engine oil did. And it was not, I had to drain it out again. Now, after I had cleaned it with the ATF and then put engine oil in it,
It was better.
now it was butter.
Yeah.
Right. And but that was a young Neil, trying to follow the early days of the internet and
Yep.
reading. And at that time, only there was a Chrysler number and, you were supposed to go to the dealership and buy the fluid. And I thought, wow, that seems unnecessary. Let me screw this up,
I had a T5 in my ownership that I ran motor oil in instead of transmission fluid because it was leaking like a broken fish tank and I could not keep the oil in it. So I went to a heavier weight oil, being motor oil, and when it was dead cold,
Mhm.
when I was inappropriately trying to drive my car around Halloween, it was very hard to shift until
Yes.
the transmission was warm. With automatic transmission fluid, it didn't matter what temperature it was. I could go through the gears easily.
And I think that is the challenge, is that with a degree, for the general consumer, they have, certainly the older vehicles, it mattered less.
Yeah.
Right?
It was just bigger clearances. It was easier to shift. You were, more chunk kind of shifting, where today, yes, a multitude of oils will work, but the engineers have gone in and been like, okay, well, at -10, how does it shift with that oil? Okay, at 115 plus, how does it shift? And we got to find an oil that works the best in both situations, where we go along and we're like, oh, we know best. We know more than the engineer. And we start doing that. Well, now we're not using the oil that's best for the usage
The
range.
broad spectrum utilization of that component.
Now-
And because of that, someone that's in Southern California could have a little bit different of an oil expectation than someone in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to interrupt because we are at the end of the episode, and my question is, did you get through all the things
No,
of
I
oil?
failed. I failed
knew
our
you weren't
listening
gonna get through
audience.
it.
I
said
failed them.
I said we wouldn't get through.
I
Green.
knew
I
it.
failed our
I
listening
knew
audience.
We were doing
I
another episode.
I knew that. And before you got in on it, I looked up at the time and I said, you know what? I'm just going to have to own my indiscretion. It is what it is. We've got more additives. We didn't even get into Molly Bond and that product. We haven't got into synthetics in any degree.
We didn't get into engine knock and what the additives allegedly did for that.
Or the potential, just the root failure of the 3.6,
Yeah.
components.
And
And
the
obviously
oilings and
talked
stuff.
about that. And what our experience has been with routine oil changes and how often should you actually change your oil. So that will all be things that you look forward to next week, because I won't shut up and got too jazzed up on viscous modifiers and milkshakes. And as Rob Morgan has said, I hope that all of you go out and have a milkshake today and you think about how
Not
that
an oil milkshake.
well, and not an oil milkshake, as Jeffrey teased. We'll talk about that next week as well. Somebody should be noting all the things that I said we're going to talk about next week. Jeffrey, that's on you.
Good thing Davey goes back and listens to these episodes.
Oh,
Record
right.
That.
But I hope you go out and buy a milkshake this week and you think of us and, and straight weight oil and Drake's Well and all those other goodies that we shared with you. Wow, we've got Jeeps to build, and do we have a full slate of them? And if you're interested in knowing what's going on, Jeff has been off for the last year and a half from work and left us entirely up against the wall, and things didn't get done that were 100% Jeff's fault. So
That's why we might have a Tuesday update on Friday for those following along.
So if you're interested in knowing what Jeeps are working on and how we're progressing through those, since Jeff is back gamefully employed from his year off, we
should have a Tuesday update.
we should have a Tuesday
And
update.
if we don't, we're going to give him so much grief. We will next week.
Until next time, Jeep-Pod.
Keep on.
Keep on.
Speaking of which, I
It was a
feel
good
like
year
this-
off. I'm just saying.
It's
Very
just
busy.
a very
I didn't realize it was
appropriate.
a whole year.
It's a very appropriate transition. Last week, Jeff was like, "Hey, how's your building coming?" I was like, "Well, Jeff, my concrete guy has been off for a year and a half. And I don't know what the heck I'm doing with concrete. And I don't know how to build a building. So when is my concrete guy available?
Jeff's the concrete guy.
Then I was like, I heard that he'd be available on Sunday.
Yeah.
To which I got the response of it would have to be after 3:30.
Yeah. Because I had already packed, 40 pounds of crap into my weekend.
Yes.
In true SFJ fashion. We don't
Yes.
know how not to.
Yes.
So I ended up running home to get prepared. So just message, hey, can I come over yet? And I'm like, I thought you'd be here by now.
Right. I totally was talking about Jeff the Builder this weekend as well, talking about some of our own projects, internal.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jeff's been off so much, he hasn't been able to do
I
like
didn't
customer
sh-
service.
I didn't
and
show up at 3:30 though because his exact message: I should be home about 3:30 tomorrow.
Being very
listen, this first of all, he was being very general. I'm with you. Two, our power of responsivity conversation we had on the American Hustle
Yeah.
this morning was not confirming. It was not affirmative, and, an
And that's
appropriate
why
response.
I said, let me know when I should head over. He's like, I'm already getting ready. I'm like, oh, well, I'll head over.
Yep.
as I
get
told
it.
him, it was going to be heck or high water since my concrete guy was available. I was forced that into existence. But
Yes.
then he then somehow transitioned into my general contractor
Yeah.
and showed me where all the previous subs have gone wrong.
I love that.
That's
There's
pretty
only
much what
been
happened.
one subcontractor actually not involved out of us.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that in my own house build, I'm always blaming the previous guy who worked on
Son
it,
of a
which
guns.
is just me and the help of a handful of good customers who have taken pity upon me.
So,
There was multiple realizations and some pivots that had to be had. So the
More-
concrete
no.
work did not get done.
Oh, are you kidding me?
more interpretations, non-affirming, because I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Listen, it was so bad that he went and got his wife, and Amy comes out, and he's like, I wanted her to see what we're dealing with, too.
No.
Yeah, she went in the house. How's it going? Bad.
Sorry, folks, if I just blew your eardrum out on that. If I would have had that was a spit take as far as I'm concerned.
Why is it
If I had
bad?
water in my mouth.
You just got to come out and hear it from Jeff. Yeah, he's breaking my heart just like he does at work. Bearer of bad news.
But we were able
That's a crappy pep talk, Jeff.
but we were able to find a way to resolve it, and
And instead of having to redig, 14 holes, we only have to do 2. And luckily, I bought a backhoe.
All
Accidentally.
right, what is going on? What is
basically,
happening?
as you progressively measure and you realize that the print says on this side of the post versus that side of the post, and you start adding up this failures of measurements, and then you have the guy digging the hole interpreting your little flag. And you think, and I literally said this mistakenly, well, when you got a 24-inch hole, you got lots of leeway.
All right, so absolutely, I heard you talk about, that's a pretty big bullseye to land on.
Yeah, you know what's not a big bullseye, I guess? 24-inch holes. Once you get from one side to the other, because you go, well, we're still okay, but we're kind of over off the side of the window pane. And now this one actually in the middle of those 2 holes.
it gets better because we're measuring the holes, and because it rained, there was a lot of washout, so the holes weren't 5 foot deep anymore.
Oh God.
So there was one of the inside holes that was actually 5 foot deep. I said, let's start there because we don't have to do any digging.
Yeah.
He goes, it's going to be difficult to get the equipment in there. And I'm like, why? You have 2 garage doors. You supposed to have 2 garage door spots. Those holes aren't far enough apart.
No.
And that's when we went in and got the
that's
tape
when
measure.
the panic started.
That's when we got the tape measure out,
Yeah.
started measuring everything.
Oh, and it gets better. You're not done laughing. So in the middle of all this,
And I want you to know, and for our listeners at home, I empathize with you so much because of
I was
my,
literally thinking like Neil is gonna be dealing with this crap when he goes.
because this
through
is
his.
exactly what I'm dealing with my house.
Yep.
100%.
So
Because you don't know
what you don't know.
what you don't know.
Yeah. So in the middle of all this, we finally have gotten the go-kart, Aiden's go-kart, to a point where he can use it and not have it break the first 3 trips around the yard.
Yes.
and he is excited beyond belief.
Well, he was riding it around the whole time.
So he's trying
100%.
to put in
I would
as much seat time as possible.
Before it snows. I would expect nothing less.
So-
this kid has waited, I don't know, 5 years for this
Yeah.
go-kart to be done.
So I had already told him, like, hey, you can't do your normal track because now we're trying to work up here. And the go-kart may have brakes or may not have brakes. I'm just going to leave that loose.
Nah.
I've not attempting to have brakes, but you know,
It's,
and he was like, "Oh, I'll just let off the gas. It'll be okay. That's fine."
I just wait a second. First of all, I mean, for context for everybody, how many Jeeps I've wheeled that they have watched footage of, that they've seen pictures of, that have a brake, right? How many vintage pieces of crap where I'm this way on a hill that's
Absolutely.
like this, and I am on a brake. So I don't discredit you, but I don't know what's worse, because somebody asked to borrow a bicycle. They're doing a whole 4-day trip. They're stranded. They know that my family has bicycles, so my family, my sister asked us. The best bicycle for this particular individual who needed to borrow it was my son's bike. He rides all the time. But we had to like contextualize, be like, well, it doesn't exactly have good brakes. I just, what is wrong with us?
So anyway,
Nobody else lives this way.
so I tell him, go out back and just do circles. And I knew he was going to get bored of that, but
Yes.
but he wasn't there yet. So fine. So we're trying to work, and Jeff's crapping in my Wheaties, and holes aren't in the right spot, and nothing's deep enough. And I hear thwack,
Yep.
and I look over, and where's Aiden?
The only spot that he could.
Firmly planted in the front of my C10, firmly into it.
In the front of your truck.
Yep. And I thought, well, I could handle this 2 ways. I could be my father and start screaming.
Oh, God.
And then he'll be traumatized and will never ride the go-kart again.
Oh, God.
And he'll never want to see the truck again. Or I can go up and give my kid a hug because he is me and giving himself all the grief.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, so how bad is it? Well, I think I just scratched the bumper. Okay. He's like, I'm glad I have my helmet on because you know what else we haven't worked on? Seatbelts.
Oh, God. So he went flying.
He went forward. He learned about perpetual motion.
Yes. Inertia. Yes.
Momentum.
Momentum. So truck's okay. Whatever. Scratched the bumper before. It's not bent. He learned a valuable lesson about turn radius. And wearing his helmet. We consoled him. He also had to go in and get consoled by his mother.
Oh, he said he's done riding it for a while because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
Which turned out to be about an hour.
then- yep.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But anyway, I was like, well, he's back on the horse. That's good. And I started my morning off looking at seatbelts and how the hell do I get brakes on a go-kart?
I love it. I love it. What a weekend. What a weekend. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jeffrey,
I mean, other than the shenanigans there and the things that we did that we can't say on air because of OSHA.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
The
Trust exercises.
was-
You know what rigs a really good handrail? A backhoe.
well, yep.
oh, without question.
So, anyways,
No, I know that 100%.
we I had a mostly relaxing weekend. Did some cleanup from the event and went through the trailer.
Well, but you know what the thing is, our audience has not heard about your weekend with your festival. So why don't you give us a little insight there?
so we had
Since that was Labor Day weekend.
it was
and
Labor Day
that's
weekend,
not
and we
this.
were off for Labor Day. So
Mhm.
we had a 2-day event in downtown Erie where we shut down a street, and I'm talking we barricaded both ends of the block. So you had 8th Street between State and Peach completely barricaded off.
Mhm.
You had to enter through Voodoo Brewing and come out onto the street from their patio. We had food trucks, we had vendors, we had 41 different musicians playing or bands, acts,
Mhm.
41 different acts
Mhm.
total. So it was a really fun time. I ended up picking who the winners were. We had this great panel of judges that deliberated for an hour or so trying to figure out who the overall winner was going to be because the talent was just so amazing.
The part I love the most about the whole event is now you are big enough that you are getting the attention of all the business owners, good and bad.
Yeah.
And I just to contextualize, you've tried to go in and educate the businesses affected by the event and the size of the event and everything else. But just like any human, you're half paying attention, you're half listening,
Yep.
and it goes in one ear and out the other. And the part I love the most is one of them thought a musician was going to play on the street.
Yep.
Just
Yes. They thought that there was a business that thought that when I approached them a couple weeks ago for the third or fourth time that we've been to their business, that I was a musician dropping off my card because I'm going to be playing on the street, and wanted them to know I was going to be playing on the street.
So he's going to set up his guitar box,
Yep.
and you're going to throw
Guitar
money
box.
in it.
That's awesome.
That's
yeah.
actually funny. I mean, that's a great reference because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yep. And that's it's literally what they
No,
thought.
I have not heard that story.
So
and-
when he showed up and shut their street down, they were dismayed, amazed.
Yeah, there was
Shocked.
a lot of emotions with the way that we shut down the street, but we had the city's permission. We did everything by the book. We did it all
Yes.
right. We did make some changes to try to accommodate those businesses differently than what we started with, and it worked out for the best.
I mean, the best thing I heard of it was after all the hubbub of the stage of emotions and grieving that they had to not have their street. Once everything was done, you had such a professional ability to it that the businesses affected were like, I actually would like to be part of this next year.
Yes,
excellent.
we
So
had-
went from
excellent.
anger to
Yeah,
helping.
Yes.
Yep. And it was, the media obviously was there. We had all the local stations show up and film and record. I got interviewed by a couple stations. So,
Jeannie says she was there.
that's cool. I did not see her either. We
I'm
had
not
a lot of
surprised.
people. We had about 2,000 people throughout the 2 days. So
That's
Mhm.
impressive.
it was really fun, really good turnout. We would have liked to have seen a little bit more than that, but overall we were satisfied.
Well, and the particular city that you're doing this in does a lot of festivals. They
And it's-
do a lot of different events.
Yep.
Labor Day weekend's a tough weekend.
Yep.
And it's growing. This is yet the next
This
biggest rendition.
This was the biggest we've done. We tripled our
Correct.
size of a
Correct.
So
Correct. And you've kind of continued to plow back into it, the festival, and I'm sure that you guys will continue to refine it, and everything that's coming out of it seems to be overwhelmingly positive. And I obviously wish you guys the best luck going forward.
Yeah. But
And that was very cool.
needless to say, I was very tired for the next week, and so this weekend I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do a whole lot. Took it kind of easy. I watched some football. A perfect week.
Mm-hmm.
Steelers started playing again, so I was like, all right, cool, we're back to the NFL.
It was the kickoff kickoff weekend.
Yep. Yeah. So good time there.
Outstanding. For me, it was a lot of just sharpening my axe, equally trying to recenter myself after a very busy, kind of summer, as summer wound down and the school year started up. That presents its own challenges. I'm in a season of life where it's a lot about being there for my family at the moment, and of course, as overdoers tend to do, I found myself thrust back into the sports ball world, and I have been volunteer coaching for a local school.
Which, if you think he's passionate about oil,
Yeah, and that's we internal as an internal insight to how SFJ 4x4 works. We oftentimes kind of talk about humans and each other as our 6 week interests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Humans oftentimes find a shiny object, figuratively, and we get really invested for 6 weeks. And I think it's important that we continue to maintain that humans continue to get excited about things that are new, maybe something you've pulled out of your closet, an old book that was on the bookshelf, a movie that you used to love, that you used to watch a lot, those types of things. I think we do the same thing with tractors or ATVs or festivals or doing a particular home project, and we get reinvigorated. It gives us purpose,
as
Um,
long as Jeff doesn't come over and tell you it's all wrong.
I have found myself thrust back into an emotional roller coaster of my own athletic career. For those who may or may not be aware, I was a pretty decorated athlete at one time. I've done a pretty good job of shoving that down into a little box because, it doesn't matter when you become an adult, but I've really been enjoying being able to be there for my kids and my family, and seeing the different things that they are engaging in. And so that's taken some interest or time, or it's kind of sowed a seat for me of sorts, taking some of that as a viscous modifier, if you will. But otherwise, we had lots of athletics, lots of family time. The big thing is my wife, as a teacher, needed desperately to paint her parking lot.
Pick her spot.
Paint her spot. Yes, the spot. So we, as a charitable fundraiser, we had to pay for the luxury. Of course, it was $20, so whatever, of her ability to paint a spot. But can Simpsons just do like a little like,
No.
Mrs. Simpson? No.
No, this was an all-day affair of painting a parking spot. I know it was.
With kids.
And the worst part is we went into Home Depot, and you'll see pictures on my wife's social. I'm tagged into them. And I really didn't want to be that guy. I was a little bit of a sourpuss, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, you couldn't tell with your shorty shorts on.
I was in my hoochie daddy shorts, and I was pretty good mood until and we had a great, like, of course, because again, we can't do anything, half-ass in any capacity.
It's all in or nothing.
All in. So we've drawn a small crowd at the Home Depot paint desk, because now my wife, in her magical nature, might as well be like spinning and dancing and showing any person who's willing to look her design that she has conceptualized.
Yes.
They all, which many people, when they look at my life, are like, "You're crazy. You're not actually going to do it." Yes,
But
we
wait,
are.
there's
But
more.
wait, we are.
So how much glitter?
So they make a special glitter
I know.
packages. So we bought 2 of the primary paint-specific glitter packages, which is, in the grand scheme of the world, a lot, apparently.
Yeah.
And of course, in blatant delusion, my wife thought she was just gonna buy little sample packs to do her paint. And then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, there's no way in the world that like the little pint sample is gonna do the design she
So you
had.
were buying quarts.
Gallons. And
Did you get glow-in-the-dark paint?
we did not. We did not.
You missed an opportunity.
I did miss an opportunity, but you will see that we actually. So big shout out to Home Depot. I'll just be freaking honest. They actually reduced pricing as kind of like because I think it was like one of those things where.
Well, when you buy, $1,000 worth of paint for a parking
We
space.
didn't, fortunately. We didn't.
500?
We didn't. I'm not disclosing, but I will say that actually Home Depot came out in a big way and reduced stuff for
They
it.
did
Hashtag not
because they
sponsored.
reduced it so much.
There you go. Hashtag not sponsored. But also because you'll see a picture on my wife's where I am covered in black paint, because as I went to check out, I held the quart can to take a shot this way, and the quart can exploded over their self-checkout, because in the throes of my wife dancing around, showing her magic to
They
all the
forgot to seal
people,
that can.
they forgot to seal that one can.
Oh.
So as I pulled it out of the cardboard box that they had so nicely provided us, and I went to shoot it, it spilled all over my hand, the checkout register, so on and so forth. And so I just stood there contemplating life once again, going, what did I get myself into? To which a case, another, small crowd gathered as I just kind of stood there staring at this can dripping all over my hands, spilled across the floor.
Did your hoochie shorts get any black paint on them? Or were they near miss?
First of all, hoochie daddy shorts. And no, I kept my shorts and my Crocs clean, which was 100% my wife's thing, going, well, at least your shorts and shoes didn't get any paint on them, because she can find silver lining in any
everything.
moment. Until next time, folks, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.